a lot of rehab before that can even be thought of.
He's done. I think the smart thing to do, just realize you're done. I mean, I know that this is a bit of a different take, but there's a song that I love by the band Rancid called Time Bomb, and one of the lyrics is, "The secret to a good life is knowing when you're through." Just realize, Shazier, you've done great. We want to see you continue to do great. You can't do great if you're, a vegetable.
I mean, you don't have anything to prove to anybody else. Just what he's accomplishing alone in his rehab from what potentially could have been a life in a wheelchair is almost as, if not more impressive than anything he did on the field.
I mean, 100% just enjoy life. Don't risk it. It's not worth it. Much as I love football, it's a game. It does not define who you are. It is a game. Please keep yourself healthy. Keep yourself safe.
Amen.
All right. And I hate the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't really care for them either, but
All right. So, Ryan Shazier walking at practice. Obviously not playing this year. Good luck, bud. We here at Dan D'Antoni Sports do condone Ryan Shazier getting better.
Yes.
Yep.
No argument there.
All right. So now, the NFL is a strange place when you go out west.
That it is.
AFC West in particular is what we're going to be focusing on tonight. And some weird things going on in the AFC West. We'll start alphabetically. The Broncos. Do you guys remember who their quarterback is now?
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a minute there. I was
I know they got
after
someone,
Tony
but
said it, I
who
was
the
like, wait,
hell
is that who it is?
Can Case Keenum stabilize that Broncos offense?
Probably not.
Maybe. Can the defense, with Von Miller and all of them, play at a high level? What do you see this team's ceiling being? Can they make the playoffs?
No.
Or are they basement dwellers? What do you see coming from the Broncos in terms of how competitive they're going to be? So how will Case Keenum work in this offense? Can the defense get back to that absolute juggernaut that took the Panthers in the Super Bowl? And what is the ceiling for this team?
I think the defense will be successful, and I think the defense will allow them to stay in games. Case Keenum's good enough at managing that they'll probably play a lot of close games. I just don't think that they have a well-rounded team that will be a well-oiled machine to be able to allow them to successfully be anything more than probably a 500 team.
Okay.
That's the way I see it. I don't think they make the playoffs. They're 500 at best. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few wins under.
I give them 10 wins, but not get into the playoffs.
What?
10 wins would be...
10 wins and not
tough.
make the playoffs?
That's tough to not make the playoffs, but it's also tougher to think that in that division, I don't know. That division's all up in the air anyway. It's all over the place, but I mean, we'll get to that in due time.
It's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, I think 10 wins is generous. I think 9 should be their ceiling, but I don't see them making the playoffs. 10 wins would almost win the division.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how garbage it ends up being.
This team is probably the biggest enigma for me because I can see them being a 4-12 team. I can also see them being a 10-6 team. Mm-hmm. I can see them
win the division.
If Case Keenum figures it out quick, I can see them being a 12-win team.
I mean, that's going to rely on that, but I mean, they still have... Their running game is sporadic at best. they have decent wide receivers. Demaryius Thomas, if you get him at his peak, is great. I don't know how much more Keenum can be other than a game manager. But that defense will keep games close. But I have a feeling they're gonna be like the Chargers in a way that they lose games close. In my opinion.
Yeah, didn't they lose like every game last season that they lost by less than one touchdown?
Typically.
Something like that?
Yeah, it was either last year or the year before. But yeah, they have that issue.
Or like, I think
That was the Browns' only win, wasn't it? Or one of the...
Yeah. And I think one of the games they did lose, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
One of the games they did lose, they were driving, I think it was on the Steelers maybe, for a game-winning touchdown, and whoever the linebacker picked it off and returned it for a touchdown. They lost by like 12.
Poor bastards.
But then they just absolutely took care of business last year against the Cowboys and against the Bills. But anyways, Broncos. BB and O'Shea, what do you guys got to say about the Broncos?
Wouldn't be super confident in them this year. Defense is still going to hold up. I don't really trust Case Keenum to, be much more than a game manager. I think we saw his absolute ceiling last year, and I think he's in for a bit of a regression to the mean this year. Possible playoff team if everything goes right, but I have my doubts.
Okay.
I'd say it could go either or. It's going to be a matter of how the offense can work. I would definitely think just about almost every game would be close for them.
Right.
I mean, it could be, like you say, they could be 4-12, or they could be 10-6 and win the division if things can magically fall into place.
Yeah, like I said, they're, in my opinion, the biggest question mark in the division as to what the team really is. Because the others, I can run through and tell you, for the most part, what to expect.
And just the fact, too, that, Keenum can be solid, but, I mean, he's had his games, too, where he hasn't been the sharpest either, so...
I mean, you saw him take care of business against the Saints. Stephon Diggs,
Well, yeah, lucky.
We'll be talking about the NFC North next week.
Well, good, but that's a whole nother animal in comparison to the AFC South.
Right. So, the next team, because we're going alphabetically, the Chargers. Funny enough, we were just talking about them. The question marks I have for the Chargers: no Hunter Henry. Is that going to be a huge problem? When Phillip Rivers comes out to play this season, is he going to play the same way he played against Dallas and Buffalo last season, where he was just on fire and could not be stopped? Or are we going to see him regress to the, we're the lovable losers kind of mentality? Can they forge an identity for themselves as more than just the other team in Los Angeles behind the Rams? And is this team on the verge of the playoffs? Are they solidly in the playoffs? Are they out of the playoffs? What do you guys think?
I mean, they definitely had a strong finish last season. Definitely some injury concerns. Keenan Allen is always a concern, it seems. He seems to have some really freak injuries, but a trend of them, which makes me worried because it's like, who lacerates their spleen? Like, never seen that in the NFL, really.
Yeah, I have. I have, actually. Matt Sims had a lacerated spleen and almost died on the field when he was with the Buccaneers.
Oh, wow. I don't remember that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That being said, Dan's right. How often does that happen?
I don't know.
It's not the typical NFL injury.
No, you're right.
Right.
Lacerated spleen. Anyways, go on, O'Shea.
The AFC West is a little little strange right now, so there could be some hope for them. Obviously no Antonio Gates this season, which is strange.
They cut Antonio Gates, and now their star tight end gets hurt.
Yeah, maybe re-sign Gates for one more year.
One more year.
Joey Bosa also walked off the field today with a foot injury. Just so you know. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
In case that changes anyone's feelings.
Who's out?
Joey Bosa.
Oh, is he? I didn't see that.
Walked off practice field today with some kind of foot injury. I don't know what that's really all about, and I don't think many people
walked off
do.
on his own, though. So, well, assuming I think we should just assume he's healthy. Wish him the best as far as that goes. For now, because if he's not healthy, then that really does hurt their season.
It does. He's the heart and soul of that defense.
Yeah, I mean they still have Melvin Gordon on the offense, so that's always good. Virgil Green's not much of a tight end to throw to. Receivers are good. Phillip Rivers will be at minimum serviceable, at best looking like a monster out there. Defense has been the focus, kind of in recent drafts. Joey Bosa, obviously, and Melvin Ingram are going to be the focus on the defense. Their line, maybe needs some work. Secondary looks great. So I think they're a fringe team. They could make a push if everyone else remains healthy, but one more big ticket injury, and I don't see them breaking 8 games.
Okay. All right. Really quickly, before we continue on, I forgot to mention a Browns wide receiver not named Josh Gordon was arrested for marijuana possession.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Antonio Callaway, he's just all sorts of problems. Stolen car. Suspended license it was. Driving with a suspended license, marijuana. He had the issue with the stolen credit cards at Florida. Ooh. Stay away from him.
Yeah, no, he's digging himself a pretty big hole.
He's Josh Gordon 2.0. But, anyways, I kind of agree with you, O'Shea. At worst, Phillip Rivers is going to be okay. At best, he's going to be the Hall of Famer that I think he is. And I do think he, one day, will have his spot in the Hall of Fame. The defense, the Joey Bosa thing is kind of concerning. But I think they are still good enough to be a decent defense. I'm all in on Melvin Gordon, so I think the run game is going to be just fine. Keenan Allen stays healthy. He'll be a top 5 receiver. So I'm going to say this. If Keenan Allen stays healthy, I think they're a lock for the playoffs. A lock. Absolute lock.
My concern is always with the health of the team. Their wide receivers always seem to go down. I have no doubt that Melvin Gordon is going to be the workhorse that they go off of. Depending on if they have Joey Bosa or not is going to make a huge difference on that defense as they're led by him and Ingram. But they're always such a sporadic team. I'm going to say that they're going to be over 500, but I max it out at 10, 11 games maximum. And that's if they play to their ability and close out games and avoid the injuries.
Which we know they can't.
Well, therein lies the issue.
Which history says they cannot. What about you, BB? What do you think?
I put him at 500.
Put him at 500?
Yeah.
Even if everyone stays healthy?
I think so, because they've proven that, they like to give up games too, so.
They do. They do.
It's hard to
they
argue.
They do love to lose the tight ones.
It's hard to argue that point because history's shown us that that's what they do. And realistically, when you think about it,
except when you put in Nathan Peterman.
Well, that doesn't count.
Oh, they smacked the Cowboys around pretty good.
Yeah, they did. It was Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it sure was. But the